Welcome to Art Talk with April. I'm April Harris. I'm the artist of Inked April, located in Birmingham, Alabama. And this podcast is going to be about all things art. We'll talk about books, invite some artists to interviews, and much, much more. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. This is Art Talk with April, and today we have Amber Orr, and she is an amazing artist. She does sort of this abstract realism. She has a degree in drawing. She's a painter. She does faces and portraits. It is amazing work, and you have really got to check it out. So thank you so much, Amber, for being on here and talking to me today. Where are you located?
I am currently in Birmingham, Alabama, but actually in a few weeks, I don't know where I'm going to be located. I've been thinking about relocating and moving out of state. So yeah, as of now, today I'm in Alabama.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. You're like, where do I want to go?
Yes.
That's awesome. So are you self-taught or have you gone to school for this? I know you said you had a degree in drawing.
Yes, I was self-taught. I just started drawing when I was 8 years old, and I would look at Dragon Ball Z, and so cartoons taught me how to draw. I was a tomboy. So I was always gravitate towards Dragon Ball Z, Disney. I'm obsessed with Disney. Yeah. And then I went to School of Fine Arts, and that changed my life. And then I graduated from the University of Montebello.
Oh, wonderful. I actually went to Montevallo for like a couple months. But this is a long time ago. And eventually went back home to Montgomery. So that's fun. We have that in common. I love Montevallo. So you've been making art since your childhood, right? Like what got you into, I mean, like you said, the cartoons and everything. Did you have like any art classes in school or anything like that? Or
no, I've always, I had this dream of being a fashion designer when I was little. So I used to make these little weird looking women, and I would always pull out outfits with them. And it's so funny because now I'm really obsessed with fashion. So I always had a love of fashion and cartoons and fantasy. But my path has kind of been all over the place. But yeah, it originally started with me drawing on McDonald's napkins. And my mom was like, stop drawing on those napkins. I just started drawing. No one told me to do this. I just remember being 8 years old and loving Pocahontas and Power Rangers. And I was like, I just want to draw these big-headed women and put clothes on them. And
I was still doing that.
This is my pop music. Like I used to always be like a closeted Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys fan. I didn't want anybody to know that because I was so weird and so different. Like I grew up in a predominantly like Black neighborhood, and I just always stood out. My mom used to tell me like, "Hey, this child right here, I'm the oldest. She's like, this child right here is gonna be sitting on beanbags and living on the trees." And I just always was different than everybody else. I was into wrestling. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, I was into everything opposite of what I grew up around.
Yeah. Like you were a very eclectic child. You had so many interesting.
Yes.
That is just awesome. But that, I feel like that's part, I don't know about you, but I feel like that's part of like an artist's sort of spirit where you're like, if anything is even remotely interesting to you, you're like, you start looking at this and doing this, and it doesn't really matter like what it means to anybody else, or you're just like, that's interesting. I want to. You're like sampling parts of life where you're like, cool, this is cool, and it's just whatever,
Yeah.
That's awesome that you're even doing that as a little child. And they're like, this child's going to be a different kind. I don't know.
My mom didn't understand me, but she was just like, okay, I got to do something with this child. She's so different. I always love that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I talked a little bit about your art, introducing you and everything. what would you say, like we talked about before we got on, your medium? Like, do you have a favorite kind of medium that you use?
I started out with acrylics, and then recently I got like this set, maybe like a year ago, I got this set of watercolor crayons, and I've been obsessed with them. And I used to just take ink pens because I've always been a lover of inks.
Yeah.
Because I like this balance of my work is kind of like this destruction, reconstruction process. I love showing the mistakes in my work. And pencils, I kind of stopped using pencils because I wanted to always have that confident stroke in my work. So I use pens to outline whatever I'm thinking about, and then I'll wash it down with acrylics and then watercolors. But lately, it's been watercolor crayons, and then I go back now to acrylics. So it's a little bit of playing back with the acrylics.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I literally sometimes fight with the mediums because I want to control them so bad, and so I'm learning how to just let it be and relax. So I'm kind of changing my process and learning about myself. So.
Yeah. Well, see, that's one of the things that I really love about your work as it is right now is that it feels very expressive. Mm-hmm. And I can see where you're saying, like, in some of your line work, you're very controlled and, mm-hmm. You're making that confident line. Mm-hmm. But then you go back in it appears as if it's so loose, mm-hmm. So whatever you're doing, I love it. After you get there.
I tend to, one of my favorite classes that I took at Montebello was with, I can't think of his last name, but Joe, my professor of drawing. I love his classes. He taught a series class, and ever since that day, that's how I work. I have so many ideas in my head. I have to work with either 2 pieces or 3 pieces at a time. So I start all my pieces out as a series, and I just kind of let whatever I'm going through emotionally, I let it out into the pieces. Yeah. I start drawing it out, and then I paint it, and then I come back and I kind of control it. And so that's how I used to work. And now I'm in this phase where I feel like I've always had people tell me that my work is too small. Like some of my pieces, they need to be bigger. And so I'm like, So now I'm learning, since my life is so crazy right now, I'm learning that maybe I should do the opposite and focus on one large piece or one thing at a time. I've never done that. I've always worked in a series. So now I'm learning maybe I need to put all of the things that I've been through recently and my emotions into one large piece to showcase all, because I have so much going on in my head and I have so many things to say about life right now that I feel like I need to make it larger.
Yeah.
So that's the next step. How I'm going to get there, I don't know.
And see, that's so interesting. You said so many interesting things right there. I have got to talk to you about this. Okay. You said that you kind of, do it real loose and then you go back and control it. I feel like you're going back and refining it.
Yes.
I think that's a better word to use.
Yes.
And you said that you work in series. Well, several artists that I've talked to, they work in series. Like they actually gave me the advice to work in series.
Oh, yeah.
So that it would all like be consistent and look a lot alike. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to me specifically because as an artist, I started off large and I would do like one large one. Yeah. And I have moved to small series.
Yeah.
The opposite of what you said. And I mean, it's just so interesting because
it is interesting.
I think it's something that you have to try it. You have to experiment and see what that feels like. Like, do I want to work large? I think your work would be great large. Yeah. But I love it as small too.
Oh yeah. I'll never stop doing the small pieces.
And I think, what I found, the small, it's so easy to do small ones.
Oh yeah.
And then you get that sort of, you finished something, you did something, you made something, and it feels like you're being productive and you have all these smaller pieces, but the larger ones, they're going to take a lot of time or extra time. And they're like, I think the largest I've done is 24 by 36.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's not huge like some people's artworks are, but holy cow, the 24 by 36, it was just and I used to do it that way every single time, 24 by 36, 24 by 36. And I was just like, man, it just took me forever. Like, you know, and it's not one of those things where you like work on it every single day necessarily, but you know, go back every few weeks or every other week and you're like, okay, I'm going to add a little bit more, whatever. So it would be interesting how you feel about that.
I actually enjoy working on large pieces. The largest pieces I've done is these 2 murals that I did whenever the pandemic was. I think it was December 2020, around that time. A really tough time in my life, and still a tough time in my life. My family got affected by COVID, and my mom is unfortunately still, we're going through, it's been a crazy 2 years. Yeah. And so during that time, I learned that working large on those murals gave me a sense of control. Oh. Because I work really fast. That's why I do series. Because I'm not a person that's afraid of an empty canvas. When I see a blank canvas, I'm like, "Ooh, yeah." And this is my life because of my family situation and all kinds of other stuff. It's chaotic and crazy. And my work style used to be chaotic and crazy. And now I feel a sense of freedom. I want to have this freedom. Also, I need this sense of discipline and structure. And so when I was dealing with not having my mom around, working on those murals, they're on large scales, but it taught me how to work in one spot, consistency, how to move. Like it was teaching me time management. It was teaching me how to do the same thing over and over again instead of being all over the place. Because sometimes my own process gets me overwhelmed. And I was like, I gotta do something different. I feel like I'm in control. So working large scale is actually calming compared to when I work my old stuff. Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm learning and I'm changing. I don't quite know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, you need to listen to the podcast I just posted. Okay. I'm in my 40s, so I don't know how old you are, but you seem young.
I'm 33.
How old are you?
33.
33. You're still young. And you're the age I got married, so you're still young.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Listen, okay. That thing, that doesn't ever go away, I don't think. That where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna try this and this and this. I don't think that ever goes away. Like I've talked to older artists and they're just like, they're saying the exact same thing you're saying. And it's like, oh, that's so,
yeah.
I wish I had heard that in my 30s, like talk to someone who was like, and these are people who they're showing in galleries all over the world. And they're like, I don't know what I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to have this already figured out. Like, what are you telling me right now?
And I'm learning. That's my younger sister, big sister, is telling me. She was like, if anyone tells you that they got it all figured out, then they're lying. No one has a perfect roadmap to success. Yeah. And who wants to have it all figured out right now? It'll be boring. Yeah. Life is about the journey. It's not necessarily about the destination. Yeah. So I'm learning that it's all about right now. And so I'm learning. I hope to get that message across to other people, and I hope to get that message across to myself that you have to live right now. Who do you want to be right now? Yeah. And focus on that. And stop worrying about tomorrow and like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just who do you want to be right now? Yeah. So, yeah.
I think especially during these times, like you said, like COVID has really affected you personally and your family. I mean, I know people too that have had just devastating losses through this pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just have to take one day at a time.
Yeah.
And even as an artist, you know, like when it comes to that, using art as a way to work through those emotions and the things that you're going through and expressing that and getting it all out, exactly what you said earlier, is so awesome. I think that also is why your art is so expressive and emotional, and it's just, I cannot say enough good things about your work.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna go on and on about it, okay?
I appreciate it.
But yeah, like I think that you're on a super awesome path. I think that you are very talented.
Thank
and
you.
you should just keep going with it. And like if you say to yourself, I want to see about trying, larger work, or, like, okay, you said that you won a contest for doing a mural downtown Birmingham, right?
It was a H2 Realty. They hosted a competition where they were looking for artists to do a mural. I thought, I was confused a little bit about the competition. I thought it was, we were going to do like a mural. Everybody's going to do a mural, and whoever does the best mural is going to do a larger mural or something like that. Yeah. But it actually, they end up choosing two artists, which is me and this other guy named Michael. And they end up asking us to do 2 murals a piece for one of their lofts. So they changed the competition because of us or something like that. Whoa. And so I have 2 pieces on this. I have one piece on the second floor of the 29-7 lofts and a mural on the 4th floor. So when the residents, when they get off of the elevators, they can see these murals. I actually put it in the wrong spot. It was supposed to be like when they first get off, but that's okay. They had things right there. So I was like, I'm not going to move that table. I don't care about that. I'm just going to paint where the space is. And so, yeah, it's really cool mural. And unfortunately, only the people that stay there, their guests, can see the murals. But it was a great opportunity. And so I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah. Because I mean, that's one thing that I feel like Birmingham's been doing a lot lately is the mural thing. And like everybody's doing these murals around town, and for you to win a contest. Yeah. That right there. That's validation. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
What would you say is one of the biggest struggles that you have as an artist?
Getting in my own way. That's been my biggest struggle, is that I'm 33 and procrastination, man. Procrastination and insecurities. And that's why, like, nothing against like my family, my mother, or anything, but I feel like the downtime that I have right now while she's sick and hopefully she's going to get better. Yeah. She did everything for me and my sister. We were spoiled. At the same time, I always was like craving this independence to do more. But for so long, I was like, and my mother, like, no, it's okay. You don't have to do, you're an artist, but you can just stay right here. I'll take care of everything for you. Oh. And these past 2 years have been chaotic because my mommy is not around, and I'm having to fill out. I'm now figuring out adulthood as an artist, like pushing myself and being who I'm truly am supposed to be and who I already am. Yeah. And so I wish I had done these things in my 20s because I was so distracted and I was so insecure. I had a 2-bedroom apartment and I had a whole studio, but I barely went in there. I was being lazy, procrastinated, insecure, working as a daycare teacher. Mm-hmm. And I just doing all these excuses and not pushing myself and going for it. And I'm not mad at my older self. I understand the opportunities that I have now. I wasn't ready to handle them. Yeah. And so now I am putting myself out there. I'm doing things differently and just going for it because I don't want to wake up tomorrow with regret. So, my biggest, to answer your question, my biggest struggle as an artist with any artist is ourselves. We are our biggest enemies. we have these negative thoughts that don't exist in our head, and we should just go for it. Your first instinct is the right instinct. If something tells you, hey, I should apply to this, I should go to this place, I should do that, you're like, oh, no, scary. It's a fear of being successful. And so, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, it's me. It was me. My biggest struggle.
You are so on point with that, because we're the last barrier in the process of making the art. Mm-hmm. And we're standing in our own way and like procrastinating and doubting ourselves, mm-hmm. and, worrying about the future and trying to like make things, like trying to have control, but also wanting to do and I feel like as artists, we also want to, just experience life and express ourselves and not necessarily have to worry about responsibilities and that day-to-day, boring stuff. But, you want to be in your studio and you're thinking about it all the time.
Yeah. Like, even when you asked me the question, did I want to do video, audio? I was like, oh, I could just do audio. And I was like, I can do either or. And I was like, girl, stop. You like to be seen. Do it. Go be seen.
And look how awesome you look. Come on.
Always go with the best version of yourself, even if it feels scary. Just do it. So,
Oh, that's great advice. Younger artists who are listening to this podcast, listen to this. This is important stuff here, because I think that comes down to just that basic thing that you really have to fight against, like the negativity and the questioning and stuff like that. Yeah. Just to keep going, because one day you're thinking I personally, I'll be like, I just made the best thing I've ever made.
Yes.
The very next day, I'll wake up and be like,
I hate this.
Why did I post that? That was so stupid.
Yes.
Awful. I hate it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it happens all the time. And that one piece a person's crying over, like that piece touched me. You're like, I'm like, why?
I'm so embarrassed of that one.
It's the part that we all play.
Yes.
Oh, and also another one, struggle as an artist, comparing myself to other artists. That is a dangerous playground.
It really is. And I think growing up in like that social media culture too. Mm-hmm. Holy cow. Like I get so overwhelmed. Like one of my, pastime things that I do, and I think a lot of artists do, is you get on Instagram and you start looking at art. Mm-hmm. It's overwhelming.
Don't do it. And I'm learning. I have a few artists. I'm just like, man, look what they're doing. It's like, girl, my mom always taught me, you never know what people are going through. We all have a struggle that you do not know about. So you have to stay in your own lane and just compete with yourself. Look at your old piece and be like, how can I better myself? Like, you have to stay focused on yourself and congratulate those people. Don't look at them like, oh, they're better than me. You don't know what they had to do to get there.
Yeah. Like, you don't know what kind of pain and struggles they've been through.
Yes.
And, people, we're all posting what we think in the moment is our best, right? Mm-hmm. So we're like, this is, you want to share your work and you want to be proud of it and everything. Mm-hmm. And they're doing the same thing on their end,
Oh, yeah.
And it's just so hard not to compare, though. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I do, I get inspired by a lot of artists too, I'm like, oh, that's some really cool, colors or whatever, and want to try to make something that has the same like color palette and that kind of thing. And so I think that's serious. That has to be one of the biggest issues of this time, as far as like, the pandemic, COVID, we're all home, we're all separated. And then we're looking on the internet.
Yeah.
And we see this amazing stuff going on. And we're like, why, like,
well, I'm not there.
why can't I do that? Or why?
Like, you can do that. They're just a step ahead. They're just a step ahead. You just got to do something different and keep putting yourself out there. One of the podcasts that I've been listening to is Rafi and Khalid, and I love them. They've gotten me through so many hard times. And
wow.
One day I hope to meet them. He's a self-taught artist, Rafi, and his wife is Khalid. And they give some great advice to artists. So if anybody's listening, please check them out. Like, I love them.
Yes. Send me a link to their podcast on Instagram, and I'm gonna check them out. That sounds awesome.
They give great advice. Like, they've taught me things that I didn't learn in school about the ins and outs of the art world, and it's true. I'm not going to put any names out there, but I've come into contact with an art situation with someone that had like a snooty attitude because I wasn't aware of I heard these things, but I never faced it myself. But there is a segregation in the art world where you have these snooty clicks and things like that. And that's an area that I don't really like. Yeah. If there was a situation, I won't go into details, that it's just the feedback and it was their opinion. Because at the end of the day, when you're trying to get into a competition or a gallery or whatnot, or a festival, if a person, I'm okay with rejection. Rejection is a part of life.
Yeah.
But when you add extra things and you're telling person to compete with other people and change who they are, I have a problem with that. Because what if I was a younger artist and this was my first time applying to this? Yeah. Just tell me no or tell me yes. But all the in-betweens and telling me that what I should and should not do when I didn't ask for it is kind of below the belt, unnecessary,
Yeah. I've actually experienced that myself too. That's a good point, because I think that's one of my pet peeves. You got onto one of my pet peeves right there. That unsolicited advice,
yes,
especially about your art, which is usually so vulnerable and it's personal to you. Mm-hmm. You're expressing yourself.
Yes.
So for someone to say, you need to change yourself to be like this
in order to fit into my situation. I'm just like, your opinion, what you're entitled to. I didn't ask you for that. A simple no or yes is fine. And my issue is that, like, you're sending this out to multiple artists.
Yeah.
Again, all you had to do is say yes or no. Just like, okay. But I don't know. And then it went a little further. I actually said something, you know. I felt the need to stand up for other artists. Yeah. And they sent the response, and it was more of like, well, I'm a tough person. I just need to tell you that you need to work on A, B, and C. And I'm just like, whoa, this is projection now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So and I talked to another artist friend about it, and they're like, wow, I felt the same way. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I stood up and said something, because hopefully now they'll know that you don't need to send that. Just say yes, no.
Yeah, people don't realize, and the thing is like, we do need like good criticism and good feedback.
Oh yeah.
But when you're trying to, you didn't ask for it. First of all, like, why are you telling me that? And then, second of all, it's like, it needs to be constructive. Yes. And as artists, we're creatives, and you can't just say anything, just because you feel strongly about it or whatever. I don't know what they were trying to say. Like, I'm a, I say what I want to say kind of person.
Yeah. I just feel like
more cautious.
If you have to tell people you're A, B, and C, that means it's an insecurity there. But nothing against them. I wish all positive vibes. It was a reason why that happened. Mm-hmm. And it was a test for me, because like, I agreed to certain things, but again, I did not ask for this information. But it there was a reason why it happened, and it was a test for me. Like, oh, am I going to let this slide, or am I going to say something? I said something, and obviously, other people felt the same way I felt. So that means that was a problem. So
yeah. And that's not good. And here's the thing. I'm glad that you're sharing that on this podcast, because that's, that was a life lesson, as well as sharing that with other people and saying, sometimes these things are going to happen,
Oh yeah.
Don't let these people be snooty and say this stuff to you, and I think as artists too, we're very doubtful and we're vulnerable. We're putting our work out there. And so it seems like it's just so easy for those snooty people to just walk all over, especially younger artists. It's like,
just certain people in the art world, not necessarily all galleries or all people that are, I guess, feel like they're above the artist. Like at the end of the day, you need the artist. And it's okay if my work is not what you like. I am completely fine with it. I always tell people it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Oh. So it's like, I can be more receptive to what you're saying if you say it in a professional, nice way. And I'm like, okay, I can take your advice. But if I feel like you're coming from a negative energy, or you're coming from a negative place to make yourself feel more validated, then I have a problem with that, because you don't have I don't feel like you don't respect me. Like, you see that, I see, I don't like that, so I'm gonna A, B, and C. And I'm like, well, I don't. If it's constructive and it's coming from a positive place, okay. Yeah, I'm going to think about what you said. And I did think about what they said. Like, it did give me an eye opener, and I did go back. I'm like, okay, I'm still upset about how you said it, but some of the things you did have some valid points, and that was cool. But again, it taught me to like, okay, this is part of being an artist. You're going to have people that's going to just say some random crazy stuff. It's all about how you deal with it, basically.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things too, that things like that can keep an artist from continuing to work. Yeah. Like some people will quit over something.
Oh yeah.
That's just so hard to deal with sometimes, especially when someone's saying it in a more negative way and they're trying to, kind of bully around. But at the same time, man, that's just like, ugh. That's what it makes nothing else towards them. Yeah, you guys are fine, but this is something that needs to be talked about. Like, just I'm one of those artists that is always trying to push other people to be creative and to keep going. And like your work, I needed to let you know that how good it is, right? Like, I just have to let you know. So it's one of those things where I'm an encourager, I guess you could say.
Yes.
And so to hear someone being kind of a discourager, it's like, ooh.
It's so funny. That moment reminded me of a moment that I had when I was at Aspen. When I was at Aspen, I was insane. I was doing these crazy. I was just splattering paint on everybody. We had shared studio spaces, and I was just splattering paint all over my friends. So they're like, Amber, calm down. College recruiters were coming and visiting us. And I remember this one chick came, and she saw my work. And I think back to how rude. I was so irritated with her. Because everyone was just like, wow, Amber, you're not afraid of the canvas. Cool. I was like, okay, I'm crazy. My stuff all over the place. Whatever. That's just who I am. This one college recruiter came to me and was just like, oh my God, your stuff is just crazy. You need to do some yoga. And, oh my God, you need to tone it down. And I still, that incident that happened to me recently reminded me, it triggered that moment when I was so irritated with that college recruiter. I was like, how dare you come tell me that I need to do yoga? All you had to do was just say like, okay, maybe you need to tone it down. Like, or, again, it's her opinion. Yeah. You could have came up with some positive ways of helping me, or
it was almost like she was attacking your sanity or something.
Yeah, she was like, do some yoga. I'm like, I'm not a child. You can't. And my professor, Darius Hill, he's he's the head, I think, or something at Astor right now. He was just laughing at me. I was so pissed off at that lady.
Oh no.
And I do love my younger self because I was a little bit more like headstrong. I'm still headstrong, but I'm a little bit more mature. I mean, now I'm learning. That's just her opinion.
Yeah.
My work, but obviously my work did its job. It aroused the emotion out of her. So
exactly. See, and that's something that I myself have come against. Like I've had friends who were appalled by something that I made.
Mm-hmm.
Like came at me like, what are you doing? Why you can't do that? That's terrible. You're going to, and I'm like, wait a minute.
You know,
like this person is having a very strong reaction,
and it means your work did its job.
And I hadn't experienced, like I've experienced positive stuff. I hadn't had someone come at me like, no, you cannot do that.
Like, yes, I can.
And I was like, wait a minute, wait. And of course, like you were saying, I questioned myself and I thought about it. And I was like, okay, is there something to what they're saying? But at the same time, I had to draw a line and say, no, this is how I want to express it. This is my feeling and this is how I need to get it across.
Yeah, I can't help that you had that reaction. We're two different people.
Like, you have you're projecting your feelings about it on
the
as the artist. And they didn't, a good way to do this for those of you out there who are critiquing art, a good way to do this is to say to the artist, what are you trying to express with this art?
Yes.
What do you mean by this? And ask questions about it.
Yes. You just say these crazy stuff. Like we're people. We have feelings.
I mean, I think it's a good thing if you get those reactions.
It means you're doing something.
You're like, okay. Could have been, that whole scenario could have been done a lot better. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people go through that too.
Oh yeah. You're going. The more you go through it, the more that you have to spin it and be like, if people are saying this crazy stuff about my work, then that means I'm doing something. But if you're like, no one's saying anything, that means you probably should be doing more.
Yeah. Like you're not pushing the boundaries enough.
Yeah.
And really putting yourself.
I would say to anybody that's like watching or listening, like you should always ask yourself why you're making art and always make sure it's about you. Like, do not listen to what other people are saying. Like your art is your art is you are your art. It's coming from your soul. It's coming from a place that you're expressing yourself. And you should always trust the process and trust yourself and not compete with other people. I'm like, oh my God, what if they don't like it? So what? If they don't like it, the people that love your art is going to find you. They're going to come to you. But you have to trust the process and keep making art, number one, and put it out there and try different things. Like I went crazy. I finally walked away from my 8 years of doing childcare because I was so complacent and stuck. And I finally did it January 28th. I decided to I'm done. I can't do this. My mental health, I got too much going on and I don't want to waste my life because life is short. You can either be here today. They say you can be here today and gone tomorrow. You can be here today and gone today. And I don't want to waste my time doing something that I'm not passionate about. Just because you're good at something, it's a difference between being good at something than being passionate and loving something and caring something. And I was just like, it was soul sucking. I'm always going to want to be in fashion and art and expressing myself.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to put myself out there and be happy and be content where I am so I can bless somebody else and hopefully bless myself in the process and keep my sanity. It's all about your mental health.
Yeah. That is so brave. Oh my goodness.
Yes, like terrifying. But I've been so happy in these past couple of weeks. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I can't do this.
Yeah, just go for it. I have a friend who is in Huntsville, and she just opened her own. Well, not just. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I said that. She's been open for like 2 years, but she's opened an art studio in Huntsville.
Yeah,
and she was doing retail jobs, and before that, she was doing graphic design, and we had worked together. And she was just so brave. She opened her shop right as the COVID pandemic started. And we had a conversation where she was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like everything, like it was during the time when everything was closing. And let me just say, this girl, this woman, she has just gone beyond and just pushed through, and is just being so successful with this art studio, and how brave that is to just take that step of faith and say, I can't continue doing this job that is just, it's almost like it's killing you inside.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My mental health. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mental health. I was just like, and it was a moment, and I was like, oh, this is it, Lord. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I was like, and I was contemplating, should I stay a little bit longer? Should I do it? I was like, I'm going to do it. I don't know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I was like, I'm crazy. I had that crazy, the Joker, like, do that crazy laugh. I'm like, oh my God. I was just like, Lord, and I just did it. And it's been a wild ride, but it's been so much fun because I have the freedom and to just do whatever and try all types of things. I've done. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I went crazy. Like I just started just applying myself to everything. So now I got to kind of refine it and go on a focus path. But it's been so much fun. Like I had like a whole list for those 2 weeks of just like, what am I going to do? Been getting lucky and finding a part-time job in fashion industry. So that's been cool. Nice. And so now this Saturday, I'm going to I love hosting parties. I always open studio space where people can come and just grab and go. So, because I have 4 weeks to just like figure this out and like, where am I going to be?
Oh my God.
It's exciting, but it's so much fun.
And the studio, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's a great idea too. And I've seen artists that do that regularly, and I've thought about it myself, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I can handle it. Like, not to like make you feel worried or anything like that. That's me. That's my personal style.
I love people.
That sounds like an awesome thing to do. I hope it works out for you and is amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
I mean, gosh, you're being so brave already. Just do it.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then figure out the next step and just go day by day.
That's all you can do. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Who is your favorite artist?
My favorite artist. I've always like cubism because I see when I paint, I like shapes. I see shapes. So I have a lot of artists. I love Salvador Dali too because of the whole surreal light quality. Put people in. I like the ambience and making people feel the type of way. Like I love fantasy stuff. So a combination of a little bit of cubism because I love how some of Picasso's pieces are like shapes, and then Salvador Dali. I think her name is Sylvie Lee. She does these Day of the Dead women. I haven't looked at her recent work, but she does these fantasy women. So her and a lot of local artists. So I have a combination of artists.
Yeah, of course.
There's September Reed. She's a local Birmingham artist. Brian Burks, Celeste Fowl, Aaron Mitchell. Those are some Birmingham-based artists that I went to school with, grew up around, and inspired by. So just name dropping.
Yeah.
Here and there. It's so many people. I'm probably forgetting people. But yeah, like elements of people's art. Even Jackson Pollock, Frida Kahlo. Love just a combination of different people, contemporary and old school. So.
And see that to me, that says so much about your maturity in your own work. Because, have you ever read the book? It's like Still Like an Artist.
Ooh, still like an artist.
It's not a big book, but it is it is everything that you're talking about. It's basically, taking ideas, not necessarily taking, being inspired by all these artists that you know, and finding something in their work that moves you, and then somehow that processes through you and kind of like sometimes shows up in your own stuff.
Yes.
And because like you were saying, the cubism, like I can totally see that. Like you've got a lot of shape in your work, even though it's very expressive. You've got these very expressive lines. Like I noticed that you have in some of your lines, you've got it where it's kind of like a meandering line and it gets thick to thin in area. And that was probably intentional, wasn't it?
Yes, I love to play with the elements of art, which is line, shape, color, texture, and value. So I love to keep those 5 elements and play with those. And when I draw, I see shapes. And like that's a little bit, I can't think of the period. Oh my God. But it's because I have a minor in art history. But I love to, it was a period is it Byzantine? I'm not sure, but it's a period where the artists would look at, when they drew figures, they would always draw them in triangle shapes. So I was like, oh, I like that. So I love looking at people's faces, like, oh, the face is a circle. And so going from general to specific. Yeah. So I started with the basics and then I add on layers and I go crazy and then I add on, so it's a combination of a lot of things. I always draw women. And people get on and like, oh, you're going to draw men? But I'm like, I'm a woman. So I have a model right here. So I love fashion. So I'm always clicking on images of random things that just really speaks to my soul. I also garden here and there. So right now I'm very obsessed with like flowers and a little bit of animals that deal with stream of consciousness. So
yeah.
I guess my latest pieces have been dealing with the stream of consciousness. And I realize now by writing out about my art is that I tend to make pieces that are the opposite of my reality. And I think that's for all artists. So my work is so colorful and so glamorous and so crazy. But like sometimes I feel like my reality before was so complacent and mundane. Now my work, my life actually reflects my work now. I feel like I'm free. I want people to live in this fantasy. But my work also has some heavy subject matters. Like it may look pretty, but a lot of my stuff is based on some heavy stuff. I just choose to make it whimsical.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Like people don't necessarily, especially in social media, really, really look and take in a piece of art. And that's what I did. Like before I got on the call with you today, I was like, I'm going to go back and look at her work some more. And so I stopped myself and really looked at the lines. And that's when I caught, how you were. I knew that you were being expressive, but it looked like an intentional thin and thickening of the line. And that's so emotional in itself.
Yeah.
It's just how you did it, And it's like, I want to say, Picasso did some line drawings that were just shape. And it was like, a face or a dog or whatever. And it was just line, but it was broken up into shapes like that. And that your work really does remind me of that. That's awesome. I feel like, you're doing a lot of women, but you've also done children as well.
Oh yeah, I love children. Yeah, I love to be play-like. I've learned I learned it as adults. We gotta be an adult. I gotta be so serious. And we should just be having fun. Like if we would just literally just live in the moment and just like, oh my God, life, like just laugh, like do something silly, like loosen up. So although I may be drawn and in my mind, the outside audience may not know that I'm talking about heavy subject matters. At the same time, I want them to feel happy and feel like you just relax. cut loose, and you don't have to be in control, and work with your flaws, work with the darkness, and hopefully my work will give you some light. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you said about, being like, I've had that same conversation with other artists too, like as a mom and having children around, and as you were, a daycare teacher, it's sort of like you're around these little kids, mm-hmm. and they all think they're artists.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah,
and they have no fear. They're not thinking about what they're doing at all, and they just do it.
They're playing. Yeah, their only job is to play.
Yeah,
we should be playing with adults still.
yeah. We lose that. So many people lose that as adults, and then that's when the doubt comes in.
Mm-hmm. And overthink all the time.
And you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, and like you said, you are your own enemy in that way, that you're like standing in your way,
mm-hmm.
and it's like this conscious that you've built over time where you're questioning yourself. But children who haven't lived very long
mm-hmm. have more sense than any adult.
Yeah, they are so brave. They just do it, and we're like,
it's a difference between being childish and childlike.
Yeah.
So you think, if I act like a child and play, I'm being childish. No, it's not. We're not doing anything stupid and reckless. We're having fun. We're learning to be content and happy with what we have now. It's not about, when I get this, or when I do this, if I act like this, I'll be happy. You should be happy now. You should be playing now, and stop overthinking and being so rigid. Oh my God.
Yeah. and that, like everything that people are going through nowadays, and having that outlet to just let loose and play and express yourself. I mean, I feel like art is so important right now.
Yeah, it is creativity and just life. Yeah.
Like, I feel like everybody needs to start, like, have a habit of being creative in some kind of way.
Yes. Like, but just in general, we've been programmed for so long to, I gotta get a 9-to-5 job, work. We spend so much time working on the same schedule. We should spend more time scheduling play and scheduling mental health. We should be scheduling vacations more. It should be the opposite. We should work less, play more. It's too much. It's too much life. Life is too short to just be like, I go here, do this all day. We need to schedule more time to relax, schedule more time to go to the beach, go hiking, ride a bike, have fun. We should schedule more fun. And we'll be like, you know what? Life is not so bad. But when we're just always adulting, that's when you go crazy.
And what are we adulting for? Like stuff?
Doing this for material things that are going to be here and gone.
Like, I mean, it's not something that we can take with us when we pass away. I mean, it's everything always like, you buy something new and eventually it's going to be old and fall apart. And then
you still have these sad moments because I saw a quote the other day and I was like, wow, that is so true. It's when you're stressed out, you're not stressed out because you're doing too much. You're stressed out because you're not doing enough of what you truly want to do. That's where the stress comes from. And I was like, oh my God, that's right. I'm not stressed.
So awesome.
I used to tell myself, I got all this stuff going on. No, all that stuff is a distraction. You should be focusing more on what we all have that deep down in us that, man, I really just want to go to the beach. I really just want to go play my guitar. It's because we're doing less of what we truly want to do. Is more stressed out because we got all our energy tied up into things that we think is what society and what we're supposed to do. And I was like, man, that really hit different.
Yeah. If you know where that is, you need to share that with me. I'm going to put it on my podcast page and my art page. Oh my God.
Yes.
That's transformative. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're stressed out about things because we don't want to do it. We're doing things because we think we have to. And I'm like, we are in control of our lives.
The hamster on the wheel kind of thing, where you are just stuck and you're working and working so hard. But what are you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You're wasting away your life. And there's these things that, I'm Christian. I feel like God has put something in my heart.
Yeah.
It's got to be meaningful. It's got to have purpose.
He didn't give us the skills to be an artist for a reason. We're supposed to use this is our niche. This is our goal. And we're fighting against it, trying to be like everybody else. And it's like, no, you need to be this. I mean, I'm going to humble you and I'm going to get you back there. You may not like it because you're not listening to me. But yeah.
That reminds me of a conversation that I had with my 6-year-old like a couple of nights ago. I was like, look, I know you don't understand and I know you're not happy with me telling you no, but it's for your best. It's for you. Yeah. It's for your best. I'm trying to help you. So stop fighting me and let me help you, And I feel like God is always trying to tell us that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why are you freaking out? Why are you so crazy about this? I'm telling you, what you need to do.
And I was like, no, I need to do A, B, and C. And and it's all about a change of perspective. And I'm learning that to just look at things from different. It was Rafi and Clay. I'm quoting them again. It's like a lot of times we're always looking out the window and banging our heads like, oh my God, I need to go through the window. But all we had to do was just go over and unlock the door. The door was right there, but we were focusing on trying to go throughout the window. Like, no, I didn't think about the door was right there. All I had to do was just shift a little bit.
That is so good. Like, holy cow.
Oh my God, it's me.
Oh, that is, man, you are sharing some wisdom with me today. Holy cow.
What I also learned is when you're telling somebody good advice, you need to take the advice yourself. So that's why I need to look for the door too.
Yeah. And see, like I post a lot of artist quotes like on my Instagram and stuff. And the reason I chose those quotes is because I need, that's what I'm struggling with. It's not because I'm like trying to be like, this is what everybody needs to do. Yeah. No, this is about me, guys.
Yeah. It's
like if it's something that has meaning and purpose to me, then it probably has meaning and purpose to somebody else.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where we don't realize how alike we all are in our struggles, and we're no matter how young, no matter how old,
it has nothing
where
to do
you're
with
from, none of that stuff has anything to do with it, because we're all human beings and we're all going through this stuff.
All have bones and blood.
All artists are literally going through the same problems.
Oh yeah.
But then we're also like kind of looking at each other like competition.
And art is not a competition. You should only believe yourself. There's no competition.
Imagine what the world would be like if we would stop competing with each other and would like support each other.
Yeah.
Holy cow. It would change everything.
And that's my goal, is to find where I fit in. I have this need. Like I told you, I love Disney music. And like the day that I decided that I was going to leave childcare behind, Moana, and then the song from Let It Go from Elsa. Those two songs, because I'm a type of person, I believe in signs and wonders and numbers and symbols and things like that. Like I feel like God communicates to me through music. And so that song, How Far I'll Go, that's the name of it. How Far I'll Go. That song used to always play in my head, because if I felt that, I was like, I need to go. I need to go. It's something out there. And then the Let It Go. I gotta let it go.
I was thinking that the other day. I was like watching Frozen 2, and my daughter is obsessed with Frozen, so we're just playing it like nonstop lately. I realized
how deep Disney music is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, they're not speaking to these kids. They're speaking to the adults that are listening.
Yeah. Oh, Disney's amazing. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I totally see what you're talking about.
I relate to Elsa so much. Like I had a couple of old coworkers. They're like, I don't like, I don't get Frozen. I'm just like, I get it. I got a sister, and I feel like Elsa all the time. I feel like I just need to let it go. I feel like I'm so like on my website, I have paying away my comfort zone. Like comfort zones are not comfortable. Like
no, they're not.
They're there to keep you from holding you back. And I'm like, I gotta get rid of comfort zones and get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Elsa, like I get it. Oh, like the other song in Frozen 2 when she's on that horse and I'm like, girl, I understand. I just want to be free.
You're like cheering at Frozen, like, yes.
And I think it's so beautiful that the whole lesson of the Frozen 2 is that the calling that she kept hearing was her. It was her. It was her. Me. I was like, I get it.
So deep. I'm like, Disney, you're gonna make me upset watching you. This is so serious.
Oh yeah. I'm always crying.
Well, it has been an absolute wonderful talk with you today, Amber. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me. And where can people find your art at?
They can find my work. I'm everywhere. They can find me mainly Instagram, Miss Amber O. That's why I post like my process. Amber O's art. That's on Facebook, and I have my website, oreoamber.wixsite.Amber O's art, I think. But there should be a link on my IG. So I have my name everywhere. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I rarely use those. I just planted the seed. So one day they're going to be fully active. I'm on Redbubble. So I'm just doing it all.
Nice. So you're on Redbubble. That will be awesome.
Yeah, I sold my first piece on Redbubble. I sold a mask on this. I was like, okay.
Yes.
But yeah, you can find I'm doing on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm just trying it all. But yeah, mainly if you go to my Instagram, it'll lead you to my website.
Everything. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You are amazing. Your work is amazing. Anyone that's listening, please go check out Amber's work. She is just so expressive in her colors and her lines. You just have to look at this artwork. It is so great.
Thank you for listening to Art Talk with April. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe.